In the small town of Cassadaga, Florida, known to many as the psychic capital of the world, there sits a quiet, old cemetery. And inside that cemetery, near the moss-covered back wall, is a red brick chair. It's ordinary at first glance, worn, cold, forgotten. But what's unusual about it is that people call it the devil's chair. Most locals stay away from it. Some laugh it off as just another ghost story. But those who know, really know, never go near it. And those who sit on it, they never talk about what happened after. But this story isn't about locals or legends. It's about a man named David Carter. And in the summer of 1997, David found himself in front of that chair. Alone. On a dare. David was 29 years old at the time. A mechanical engineer from Savannah, Georgia. He had just moved to Florida for work, fresh start, new apartment, and trying to meet new people. He wasn't the kind of guy who believed in ghosts or demons. In fact, he openly mocked the supernatural. That July, he got invited to a cookout by a coworker. It was held just outside Cassadaga. And after a few beers and ghost stories, someone mentioned the chair. The locals called it cursed. They said if you sat on it at midnight, something would follow you home. David laughed. Loudly. Then, like something out of a movie, one of the guys pulled a flashlight from his trunk and challenged him. "Midnight's just 15 minutes away," he said. "Let's see how tough you are." David shrugged. "Let's go." The cemetery was only 5 minutes down the road. By the time they pulled up, the moon had started hiding behind clouds, casting long, twitchy shadows across the cracked headstones. The air had that strange Florida humidity, thick, wet, almost like breathing through cotton. They hopped the old fence, weaved through broken tombstones, and finally saw it. The chair. It didn't look special. Just a red brick seat built into a grave, surrounded by weeds and silence. Some said it had been placed there by a grieving widow in the 1800s. Others said it was built as a trap, for something older. David walked right up to it. He didn't hesitate. He turned around, smiled at the group, and sat. Nothing happened. Everyone chuckled awkwardly. But then, about 5 seconds in, David's smile disappeared. He frowned. And then, he tilted his head slightly, like he was hearing something. He stood up fast. "What did you hear?" someone asked. David said nothing. He just stared at the chair for a few seconds, shook his head, and walked back toward the car. Everyone laughed, assuming he was pretending to be freaked out. But David wasn't pretending. That night, he didn't sleep. The next morning, David called in sick to work. He said he had a migraine and couldn't think straight. His co-workers brushed it off, Florida heat, maybe a hangover. But then David didn't show up the day after either. Or the day after that. A week passed. Then 2. His apartment remained untouched. Mail piled up. Lights stayed off. Concerned, his boss contacted police. When officers arrived, they knocked. No answer. Inside, nothing looked out of place. His wallet was still on the table. Dishes in the sink. Shoes by the door. But the bedroom was freezing. Ice cold. In the middle of July. And David was gone. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No goodbye note. Just, gone. They searched the woods, the lakes, everywhere. Nothing. The last confirmed sighting of David was that night at the cemetery. Sitting on the devil's chair. At first, the police suspected he walked away voluntarily. But something didn't sit right. Weeks passed. No bank activity. No calls. No travel records. Then things got stranger. 2 months later, in a gas station restroom 5 miles from the cemetery, a customer found something weird. Written on the mirror in what looked like dry blood were the words, he's still sitting. Security footage showed no one entering the bathroom that night. Then, more reports came in. Locals started finding brick dust in their homes. Just little piles. In corners. Behind doors. As if something, or someone, had tracked it in. One couple even claimed their dog wouldn't stop barking at a chair in their living room. It looked completely normal, except the next morning, it had scratch marks on the legs. Like something had been clinging to it. By the end of the year, people in Cassadaga just stopped talking about David Carter. But his name never disappeared. In 2002, 5 years after the incident, a group of paranormal researchers visited the cemetery. One woman, Jenna, was brave enough to sit in the devil's chair for exactly 30 seconds. She recorded it all. In the video, nothing happens, at first. But halfway through the clip, you can clearly hear something whispering her name. She ran. They never finished the investigation. The following year, the town quietly placed a chain around the chair. Not to block people from sitting, just to give them pause. But people still do it. In fact, according to urban legend, if you leave an unopened can of beer on the chair at night, it will be empty by morning. Nobody knows what drinks it. Nobody wants to find out. As for David Carter, he was never found. No fingerprints. No confirmed sightings. Nothing. It's like he sat on the chair, and vanished. Or worse, he never left. And if you ever visit Cassadaga, if you ever find yourself walking through that cemetery at night, and hear someone quietly breathing behind you, even though you're alone, don't turn around. Because some people say, that's him. Still sitting. Still watching. And still smiling.